There you are. And welcome back to Crimson Dawn, Ashes of Reality. This saga is an original story written by yours truly, Professor Shadow. No ghostwriters, unfortunately, here. Just lots of imagination, late nights, and a lot of coffee. If you're enjoying these stories, these sagas, and my channel, there's a few ways that you can support me. You can like this video, share this video, comment on this video, which actually helps more than you may realize. Or you can go deeper and really support the channel to help me keep creating sagas like this one by becoming a channel member. Or even deeper, there's a Crimson Dawn site, which will be updated with reaction videos to the stories, audible versions of the stories, and much more. Thank you for watching and listening. Now let's dive into Crimson Dawn, Ashes of Reality, Part 5. The underground safe house buzzed with activity. Old lights hummed faintly as power surged through the veins of the structure. Cables now ran across floors like metal vines, connecting terminals, generators, and the lab that had become Mira's sanctuary. Tess and Ava were already up, dressed in salvage gear, dragging heavy sheets of steel toward the outer hallways. "Reinforce the east wing," Ava said, grunting. "If they come, that's where they'll hit first." Tess nodded. "They always find the cracks." Inside the lab, Mira stood beside a table stacked with notes and sketches. Her eyes burned with purpose, fingers drumming against the metal as she reviewed the schematics from the winter core. "I'm ready," she said sharply. "We need to go now. The longer we wait, the longer they regroup." Veyron, seated in shadow at the edge of the room, raised an eyebrow. "I can get you there," he said calmly, "but I'll need to feed before I can bring anything back." Mira looked at him, her face unreadable, then nodded. "Of course," she said, almost too quickly. Then, with a colder edge, "You elders burn through energy like candles in the wind." Veyron's expression didn't change, but his eyes narrowed slightly. "Power must be earned, not assumed." Mira turned and grabbed her glove unit. "Then let's go earn some." They emerged in a flicker of shadow light, Veyron pulling them from the folds of space into the cold corridors of the ruined base. Dust fell from the ceiling as their boots touched down. Mira wasted no time. She moved fast, eyes scanning the consoles, shelves, and storage bays. "There," she said, pointing. "We'll need those converters, those regulators, and the reactor nodes along the east wall." Veyron began collecting what he could carry, wrapping components in old blankets and steel casings. Mira paused, then walked deeper into the corridors, drawn back to the containment room. The glass tube still stood at the far wall, its lights flickering. Inside, the undead creature remained motionless, arms slumped, head bowed. She approached carefully. Its eyes flicked open. It jerked upright, hands slamming against the glass. Mira didn't flinch. She simply raised her gloved hand. "Let's see if you're still kicking." She twisted the frequency dial on her wrist unit, recalibrating it with an almost instinctual touch. A pulse fired. Silent, blue, and exact. The creature stopped mid-motion, then collapsed, limp, inert. She exhaled, bored. "That's something we definitely don't need wandering out of here." Veyron appeared behind her, carrying a bundle of gear. "We have what we can for now. I'll return these to the safe house." Mira nodded, eyes still fixed on the fallen corpse. "I'll stay," she said. "Organize what's left. Mark the other items we'll need." Veyron hesitated. Are you sure you're all right? She turned slowly, her face smooth and composed. Of course. I just want this done. She added, quieter, for all of us. Veyron lingered for a second longer, then vanished into the shadows with the gear. Mira waited, then knelt beside the body. She didn't recoil from the rot or the stench. Instead, she touched the dead creature's wrist, examining it like a surgeon. Interest in neural decay, she muttered. Reactive aggression, but no cognitive functions left. Completely instinctual. She took out a small scanner from her belt and began documenting readings. No regenerative properties either. That's useful. Her voice faded into the sterile dark. Back at the safe house. Back in the halls of the bunker, Ava and Tess hauled more debris into place, welding panels over weakened entry points. The corridors echoed with the hiss of fire and steel. In the lab, Ilaria arrived, carrying more equipment alongside Jonas. They began placing components into Mira's workstations, slowly rebuilding the puzzle she had designed from memory and madness. The weapon was coming to life, but something else was stirring too, something they hadn't seen yet. The final pieces were in place. Inside the lab, beneath the ruined farmhouse, the table was filled with shimmering steel, cracked capacitors, coils, and cores. The winter AI hummed with life, now fully recharged. In the darkness of the abandoned military facility, Veyron stood beside Mira, placing the last load of components down. That's all of it, he said. We now need to return. Are you ready? Mira didn't answer at first. She stared at the core as it pulsed with soft blue light. Steady, strong. Then she turned to him. I've powered up the core, and I think I have something else. Veyron tilted his head. What? She stepped closer. Your shadow manipulation. Can you shift through me, move past me, like you would when phasing? He frowned. Mira, we need to return. Now's not the time for experiments. We will, she said calmly, eyes bright with purpose. But I need to try something. With reluctance, Veyron slipped into shadow form and passed beside her. As he did, she held out her glove and twisted a dial. Energy from the core sparked and flowed through the circuits. A low buzz vibrated the air. The core glowed brighter. Perfect, she whispered. Exactly as I thought. She looked at Veyron with an unfamiliar smile. I'll meet you back there. Race you. Before he could react, she vanished into shadow, warping the air around her, slipping through folds in space just as the elders do, but faster, cleaner, effortless. Moments later, she emerged in the central lab of the safe house, just as the light flickered overhead. Veyron appeared seconds later, behind her, wide-eyed. How? Mira didn't turn. I'm afraid, even if I were to explain, she said with cold amusement, I do not believe you have the capacity to understand. She approached the workstation and laid her hands across the terminal. Now leave me, she said. I will complete this task before nightfall. What followed was unlike anything the elders had seen. Mira moved like wind. No, like thought. Schematics appeared in holographic layers. Circuits rewired themselves beneath her touch. One moment, she was by the console. The next, in the shadows, fusing wires, stabilizing flow, assembling weaponry with blinding speed. She became everywhere at once, a storm of invention, a ghost of genius. Outside the lab, Veyron stood beside Ilaria, eyes narrowed, voice low. "This is wrong," he said. "She is not who we think she is. There is darkness in her." Ilaria didn't look surprised. "I told you," she said. "She is something beyond us." She turned, staring directly into Veyron's uncertain eyes. "Do we kill her?" Veyron paused. A long pause, then lowered his eyes. "No. We need to trust, for now." In the lab, Mira stood still. She had not moved for nearly a minute. Then she smiled, a small, knowing smile, as if she'd heard every word. Dusk. The final cables were sealed. The core hissed into place. The hum of protection now pulsed from beneath the floors. Strong, unbreakable. She stood before them all. Tess, Ava, Jonas, Veyron, and Ilaria. "It's done." Her voice was calm, almost serene. "Any lichen that steps close to this farmhouse will be neutralized. I've laced the perimeter with overlapping harmonics. They'll lose all sense of pack connection and fall unconscious. Instantly." She turned to the others. "I've laid out full schematics, auto-diagnostics, and instructions on how to maintain and repair the system. If something happens to me, you'll still be safe." Jonas stepped forward. "What about you?" Mira met his eyes, and for a brief second, there was something soft there, something almost human. "I'm leaving," she said. "Something's happening to me. And while I still have the empathy to see you as friends, I must go." A hush fell over them. Ilaria stepped forward. "You will return, my dear. I have faith in you. Go, do what you must. Win the battle inside, because I believe when you do, you'll become something glorious." Mira didn't answer. She simply walked forward and hugged Ilaria. No words, just warmth. Then, as the shadows around her rose, she vanished. The underground bunker buzzed with motion. Kayla, Jonas, Tess, and Ava were hard at work, dragging old shelves and metal panels into a new storage room. Dust swirled with every movement as the survivors tried to bring some order to the chaos that had once defined their lives. "Kitchen's almost stocked," Kayla said. "We've got enough to last a couple weeks." Jonas nodded, tightening a bolt on a metal frame. "We keep this up, we'll have an actual home." Then a buzzing, loud, sharp, urgent. It echoed from Mira's lab. They all froze. "Is that—" Kayla began. "It's coming from the core," said Jonas. "Come on." They sprinted down the corridor. The lab door slid open with a hiss. On the console, the winter core's display pulsed red. Symbols flashed across the screen. The hum of energy shifted to a warble. Jonas stared. "What does it mean?" Tess narrowed her eyes. "I'm no expert, but I'd say that means danger." Moments later, Ilaria and Veyron entered. They moved swiftly, eyes serious, expression grim. "They're coming," Veyron said. "Hundreds," Ilaria added. "Maybe thousands." The room fell silent. Beyond the hills, the forest shook. A storm of claws, limbs, and roars surged through the valley. Lichens, in the hundreds, bounded through snow and mud, their yellow eyes locked on a single destination, the farmhouse. Their pace was relentless. Sent by he who remains, they moved with purpose and fury. They weren't hunting, they were erasing. Inside, the survivors scrambled to windows and viewports. Ava gripped a rusted metal beam, her voice tight. "Do you think Do you think Mira's device will hold? Veyron's eyes stayed fixed on the monitors. I don't know, he said. There are so many. Ilaria didn't blink. It will. The edge of the perimeter. The first line of lichens reached the perimeter. They collapsed instantly, their bodies stiffening mid-charge, falling like broken marionettes, lifeless but not dead. Then the second wave came. More fell, tumbling over the first. No screams, no time. Then the third wave, then silence. Some lichens slowed, others stopped entirely, their nostrils twitching, eyes wild with confusion. A few whimpered, and then they turned and fled. Dozens. Then hundreds. They scattered into the trees, running from something they didn't understand, something that had no scent, no sound, no name. Back in the lab, Jonas leaned forward, trying to process what he was seeing. What's happening out there? Ilaria's voice was quiet, calm, proud. They're being switched off. She looked around at the stunned faces. Hundreds of them. The rest are running away. There was a beat of silence, then an eruption of cheers. Tess, Kayla, Jonas and Ava began shouting, hugging, laughing, crying. Yes, Tess shouted. Finally, cried Kayla. They're not invincible, yelled Jonas. They jumped and danced in a mix of shock and joy, years of fear and pain briefly replaced by something almost forgotten. Hope. But behind them, Ilaria and Veyron did not move. They only stared at the screen, their voices low, steady. He'll know where we are now, Veyron said. Ilaria nodded slowly. He already does. Days had passed since the lichen horde fell at the border of the farmhouse. The winter sun hovered low in the sky, painting the snow in dull gold. The safehouse buzzed with movement and hope, words that once felt like distant dreams. In the main chamber, Tess and Ava sat with Veyron and Ilaria, maps and tablets spread across a worn steel table. Tess tapped a finger on a cracked display. We should look for others, she said. We've got space, security and supplies. If we could bring in farmers, engineers, doctors, we could turn this place into something real. Ava nodded beside her. A home, not just a shelter. Veyron crossed his arms, nodding. Agreed. And the larger the community, the more protected it becomes. But Ilaria's voice cut through quietly. And what will they think of us? They looked at her. She gestured loosely towards the perimeter, where Mira's energy field shimmered faintly in the daylight. With Mira's barrier, we are no longer necessary. Our shadows, our power, have become obsolete. There was a pause. Then Veyron smiled, just slightly. Come now, Ilaria. We're more than shadows. We can teach, guide, help rebuild what we once watched die. Ilaria gave a slow sigh. For now, then, we help until the next storm. In the war room, Tess sat with Ava later that afternoon. A large map unfolded across the table. Pushpins marked old settlements, known hideouts, scattered civilian shelters. We could send 2-person scout teams, Tess said. Radio signal boosts still work from this tower. The area west of the old rail lines used to have a prepper camp. We might find someone. Ava looked up at the faintly humming winter core interface. How long will it last, Tess? The power. Tess smirked. Mira used the same layout as the military facility. Sort of. There's a geothermal tap beneath the mountain here. The military barely tapped into it. It's near limitless, at least for the next 100 years. Ava raised an eyebrow. Seriously? Tess nodded. Yeah, and that's just the base design. But knowing Mira... She paused. Who knows what else she added? They both turned to the glowing core. Its lights flickered in gentle rhythm, watching, waiting. A reminder that Mira might be gone, but her presence never left. Miles away, hidden deep within a jagged stretch of frozen woodland, another camp existed, unknown to the world and invisible to the lichens until now. A prepper bunker, reinforced and camouflaged beneath snow-covered ground. Inside, 4 survivors stood tense, pale with fear. They found us, said one of the men, breath short, eyes wide. A loud bang echoed through the chamber, then scratching, tearing, claws against steel. One man backed towards the central room. They're at the door! Another woman, clutching a rusted rifle, whispered, Oh God, we're done for. The 3 men positioned themselves defensively. They held old spears, hunting knives, and one had a half-functioning revolver that hadn't fired in weeks. All of it was useless. The sound outside stopped. Silence. Tension held the air like wire. Then the bunker door clicked, opened. Boots echoed on concrete. A dark figure stepped through, hooded, face hidden in shadow. No breath, no words. One man whispered, Be ready for anything. The figure entered the light. Mira. She lowered her hood, and the glow of a single overhead bulb revealed her pale face and cold, calculating eyes. The woman gasped, The lichens. Mira's voice was flat. Do not fear them. They are dead. She walked further into the room, boots deliberate, controlled. The 3 men lowered their weapons, blinking in disbelief. Then we're safe, one asked. The woman stepped forward, eyes filling with tears. Bless you, she said. We thought we were finished. It must have been when we went out for food last week. They followed our scent. Mira smiled, but there was no kindness in it. Speaking of food, she said, looks like I'll be taking my share. One of the men stepped forward. We only have enough for 4. We've been rationing. We can't spare it. Mira didn't blink. I wasn't asking. She raised her gloved hand. Energy pulsed faintly from the wristband. The man dropped like a sack of meat, eyes rolling back, gasping. The others stepped back in shock. Her voice was calm. Do I need to fetch it myself, or are you going to bring it to me? The second man nodded quickly. Yes, please. He and the woman scrambled to a locked cabinet, pulling out 2 satchels of dried food and water. They placed them at Mira's feet. She looked down at them, then turned to leave. At the door, she paused. The next time someone saves your worthless lives. She turned her head slightly, just enough to let them see the ice in her eyes. You really should be grateful. And with that, she vanished into shadow. Weeks had passed since Mira vanished. In her absence, something unexpected had begun to grow. A community. The once crumbling farmhouse was now alive with purpose. Gardens were being cultivated. Machinery had been repaired. Tents had become buildings. And fear had turned into focus. Veyron and Ilaria no longer needed to shield the humans in shadow. now used their powers to seek out survivors from nearby ruins, underground shelters, and ghost towns. They would return, often in the dead of night, with 2, sometimes 3 frightened souls, bringing them into safety. Word began to spread. A place existed where man and elder worked as one, and so they came, broken, starving, but hopeful. A new dawn. Children laughed again. Meals were shared. The core pulsed steadily in Mira's lab, and the protective field still shimmered around the farmhouse border. The newcomers stood in awe when they first arrived. They touched the reinforced walls, saw the underground hallways, met others who had survived and thrived. This wasn't just a hideout. It was the beginning of something real. A society. The change in the people. Tess, once a soldier and scout, had become a leader. Her command was calm, her decisions clear. Ava helped organise supplies. Jonas worked with engineers to expand the shelter's infrastructure. There were roles, rules, unity. Even Ilaria, often aloof, could be found helping the wounded or watching children as they learned. The safehouse had never felt warmer. But shadows watch. Beyond the hills, buried in cold winds and dead forests, something else watched. Another elder. Not like Ilaria, not like Veyron. This one was old, mad, starved beyond comprehension. Its hunger burned deeper than memory. It had once walked among kings, had once dined on emperors. Now it watched from the tree line, its form hidden in unnatural shadow. It stared at the glowing dome surrounding the farmhouse. Inside it saw life, warmth, beating hearts, blood. Inside the command room, Ilaria froze. Her eyes shifted toward the east wing. Veyron was at her side within moments. "You feel that?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "Yes, it's watching." They moved quickly. Ilaria sent a mental pulse through the walls, a silent signal. Tess was on her feet the moment it touched her mind. She gathered everyone to the lower hall. The warning. The crowd stood tense. Survivors, farmers, children, and fighters alike. Tess stepped forward, calm but firm. "Everyone listen. An elder is stalking this location." Gasps broke out. "This one is not like Ilaria or Veyron. It is ancient, starving, and from what we can tell, the perimeter doesn't stop it." Murmurs turned to fear. "Remain vigilant," she said. "Do not travel alone. Stay near the weapon field. Stick to assigned watch rotations." A plan for survival. Tess turned to Veyron. "What are the weaknesses of your kind?" Veyron spoke with the same calm he always had. "Daylight. And the lichens. They are the only true predators of our kind." "What about crosses? Silver?" Ilaria smirked slightly. "Fairy tales. Crosses and silver have no effect, unless they're thrown very hard." Tess raised an eyebrow. "Good to know." "If you catch an elder out of shadow," Veyron added, "you have a chance, but that's rare, almost suicidal." Tess's tone grew steel-hard. "Then we build traps, spikes, narrow halls, barriers." She turned to the gathering. "Spike weapons, reinforced points, pressure-triggered floors. We'll make this place deadly for anything that comes for us." And the people moved, not out of fear, but with purpose. In the woods. The mad elder grinned beneath the black branches. Its teeth were jagged, Its skin pulled tight. Its mind was fractured, but its hunger perfectly clear. It would wait, and it would feed. The wind whispered through the trees outside the farmhouse, but something darker moved with it. The elder, thin, feral, and draped in rags of forgotten nobility, it crept from shadow to shadow, drawn by the scent of blood and life. It arrived at the edge of the barrier, the shimmering field Mira had created. It paused, studied it, then slowly extended a pale, clawed hand towards the light. Nothing. No resistance. No pain. The elder smiled, a broken, fanged grin, and stepped through. Inside the camp, the air shifted. Then came a scream, a wet one. The elder struck without hesitation, sinking its teeth into a young man, one of the newest arrivals. He crumpled instantly. Others screamed, scattered, but before the elder could feast again, Veyron struck, hurling it backwards with a wave of shadow. He appeared, cloaked in darkness, fangs bared. Ilaria emerged beside him, eyes glowing, voice sharp. The elder tilted his head back and laughed, guttural and ragged. "Brother, sister, come now, share with me. We are kin." Veyron's voice cut like ice. "These people are under our protection. You are not welcome here." Ilaria narrowed her eyes. Her voice dropped low. "I know you. Azareth." The mad elder hissed at the name. Once a noble among their kind, Azareth had descended into madness and starvation, becoming little more than a predator. Azareth grinned. "Then you know you cannot defeat me. I am hunger given form. Just a few of them, and I'll be gone. We will not share. Then you will fall. The battle begins." Azareth lunged forward, a blur of claws and teeth. Veyron blocked the first strike, but the force sent him crashing backward through a stone wall. Ilaria met the second blow head-on, sparks of dark power crackling as the two collided. They battled across the central clearing, shadows writhing like serpents, walls cracking, fire scattering across the courtyard. Veyron tried to rise again, but blood poured from his side, and half his body was stuck between shadow and flesh, flickering erratically. Ilaria fought on, holding her ground, but Azareth was too strong, too desperate, too insane. Her strength faltered. She stumbled. He moved in for the kill. Then a scream. Now! Tess, Ava, Jonas and others rushed in, wielding spiked weapons, makeshift polearms, reinforced with sharpened steel. They jabbed and prodded, surrounding the elder. Azareth roared. He tried to vanish into shadow, but every place he appeared, they were there, stabbing, striking, connecting. Spikes pierced his shoulder, his thigh. He snarled in pain. He looked around, frantic, trapped for the first time in centuries. On the ground, Veyron bled black into the dirt, his body unmoving. Ilaria, bloodied but still standing, whispered to herself, "For him and for them." She surged forward. One final charge. Her fist slammed into Azareth's chest, laced with all the energy she had left. Azareth screamed, a sound like metal tearing flesh, and vanished into black mist, leaving behind the scent of rot and old blood. Aftermath. The silence after was unbearable. Veyron lay still. Tess and Jonas knelt beside him. "What can we do?" Tess asked, panic rising. Ilaria dropped beside them, exhaustion etched into her bones. Her voice was soft. "There is nothing. He will survive. Or he will not." "Can't we stop the bleeding?" Ava said. Ilaria looked at them, sadness heavy in her face. "You cannot patch up shadow." They were quiet. Then Jonas asked, "Who was that?" Ilaria's eyes flicked to the broken gate where Azareth had entered. "His name was Azareth. Once he was one of the greatest of our kind. Wise, powerful, honoured." She looked away. "Now he's hunger wrapped in madness. And he will be back." Ava's face tightened. "Great. We've got lichens on one side, and now a psychotic elder, stalking us too." Ilaria didn't disagree. She just whispered, "War is coming, and Mira's not here to stop it." End of part 5. To be continued.